Have you ever heard rap music?
Does Sir Mix-a-Lot like booty?
Listen to this. Actual rap lyrics. Life ain't nothing but gritches and money. Only they don't say gritches. They say a certain word that rhymes with it that starts with a B.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. We had a lot of Marvel news coming out at the end of the week, and we're seeing a trend come up about the last quarter of 2021. Marvel apparently are loading up that last quarter for the arrival of the Penguin Random House deal. So we're going to talk about Marvel Dark Ages and kind of some of the other things they're working on. And here with me to talk about that is my good friend from the Comics by Perch podcast. Perch, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Wes?
I'm doing excellent. So Dark Ages was probably the Marvel project I was the most excited for last year when they announced it right after the pandemic had opened up. It sounded like it was going to come out at the end of that year. And then we just heard nothing about it whatsoever. We saw that one image of Iron Man. He crashes. He loses the leg. You know, we knew Tom Taylor, Ivan Coelho were going to be on it. And we've just heard crickets. Finally, we know that it's coming back. And it sounds like it's going to be coming back in like October or November timeframe. I think this is one of the big things that Marvel could really do to really get people ordering a lot of comics in anticipation for this Penguin Random House deal.
Yeah, I agree. This had a big kind of initial tease in the Free Comic Book Day book that came out. I think it was Tom Taylor. If you kind of take your mind back to where it was, he was riding very high with Deceased, and that title was making a lot of money. I think this was considered a pretty massive get at the time to do this event. And so, they loaded it all up. And of course, the pandemic hit and it paused things. But now it coming out, I mean, I think they've been trying to find the right schedule to make this land and really go big. And it's finally here. But I agree. I think it's going to do very well. And like you said, it's all about getting these initial months with Penguin Random House to spike.
Are you getting the sense that people are a little bit confused that they think Ryan Stegman is going to be on this project because he's doing all the promotional art where it's actually going to be Ivan Coelho? Yes,
that's come up a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people saying it's like, oh, so now we know where Stegman's going. It's like, well, he's going to covers, sure, but no, this is not him. And I do think that will. Well, I don't know. I mean, Coelho is a good talent, and I think people will get over that and they'll just be excited to see that.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of the Venom work when Stegman obviously was getting prepared for King in Black, and it was dynamite. It was really good. But I'm with you. I think unfortunately Ryan Stegman has graduated to cover artist for Marvel Comics and will likely do all the covers for Dark Ages.
Yeah, I think that, and I think they'll use him for like a new title relaunch. We are going to see between the months of October and March just a lot of new number ones and titles like that come out, and I think you're going to see the classic Marvel of you get Stegman to do the first. You launch it with his name on it, and he does the first 2 or 3 issues, and then it degrades from there. But I think we'll see that out of him. But that's about it.
Yeah. So this is one event that I'm absolutely excited about. I want to cover it here on the channel. I think people are going to enjoy it. But they are really, really loading up. We know we've got a new Miss Marvel coming out. I think they've maybe made the wrong choice. It feels like they're always kind of tanking these titles by putting creators no one's ever heard of on them. We've also got Spider-Man relaunching. We got Hulk relaunching. We got Venom relaunching. We've got, Predator debuting. So they are going to be a lot of, those are the ones we know about.
Right. Well, and there will be, I mean, you could almost go
Captain America, Black Panther.
Yes, there'll be a new Captain America. We know the new Black Panther creator already with John Ridley. And with Miss Marvel, I mean, you're going to have multiple books. You have this limited series that's been announced, but there will be a new number 1 ongoing during this time period as well, which we don't know the creative team for that one. They're going to do a lot. I mean, you're going to see a lot of relaunches, a lot of spinoffs, a lot of other things. Inferno will be during this time period as well, coming out from the X Office, and then whatever comes out of Inferno will be, no doubt they'll find a way to squeeze 1 or 2 more X books in the mix coming out of that. So it's just a lot of relaunches, a lot of number 1s, and it's unlike Marvel normally kind of getting a little quieter toward the end of the year. Between October and March, it's just every month is going to have at least 2 to 3 projects. That's going to be huge.
Depending on how you look at it, it can be a great time to be a Marvel fan or a bad time, depending on how much scratch you got in your pocket. Could become an expensive venture.
Definitely, it's going to be expensive, and they need to make sure it doesn't come across like a desperate grab for cash. I think it'll be very easy for it to feel that way, but hopefully not. And if this is a chance for Marvel to kind of put their best foot forward, that'd be nice. I mean, they're experiencing their own form of kind of consolidation and some downsizing in the back office. So I think that's also going on simultaneously. It's going to be an interesting couple of months to see what happens. And
your comic shop's going to be opening up slightly before that, correct?
They'll be open before this goes down. Yep.
Nice. So are you going to be ordering heavily on Dark Ages?
Yeah, I mean it's going to sell well. No matter, I mean, only the people very, very pissed at Marvel at this point are out on that series. I mean, Deceased is that's got a great track record, and that's what people are going to be expecting out of here. And you get the Marvel heroes in kind of a desperate situation with where they lose, and that's going to Tom Taylor can bring those kinds of stories. We know he can, and there will be 5,000 variant covers, so all in.
A lot of people say, as Marvel goes, the industry goes. So it could be a really exciting time to be a comic book retailer or a fan, with Marvel really trying to put that best foot forward. And congratulations, it sounds like you're kind of syncing up with what could be a very exciting time. There's been a few other developments, and we haven't got this confirmed, but when I read Venom 200, I definitely got the suspicion that in Free Comic Book Day that Spider-Man Venom thing that we're seeing is going to be the introduction of this like ultimate universe invading the 616.
Yeah, there's definitely, it appears to be plans to have the Maker or the evil Reed Richards, however you want to throw it, that's going to be a major factor in these books going forward. And I know Al Ewing has loved that character in the past and is excited to play with him. So I think that's definitely going to be part of what he brings to that title. It feels like they're wanting to go there. The trick is how do you do that and not make it feel like the conclusion to Hickman's Avengers run, where we already kind of had the Ultimate Universe merging in with the 616.
But that was in Secret Wars, so it wasn't actually like in the universe, right?
Well, the last few issues of the Avengers, the time runs out where these two worlds are going to collide and they're going to go to war with each other, and this happened right prior to Secret Wars, where there was a bit of a battle. But it was, I mean, at that point, the Ultimate Universe had been massacred of anything that had any value. So, I mean, part of what's got to make this work, and I haven't heard, but I suspect that it will come to pass, is there will be some Ultimate Universe kind of revival as well.
So do you think the reason that we've been getting all these revamps or retellings of stories, we got Clone Saga, Heroes Reborn, we got World War She-Hulk coming out, it felt like they were really rehashing stories that have been done. Do you think Marvel is actually just biding their time?
To some extent, I think that's true. I think that, most of those are coming from Jason Aaron, and I think he's doing kind of a greatest hits, last tour on Avengers. That's what it feels like. I do think there's a certain aspect of we're not sure about our ideas. If people remember, right before Hickman came in and relaunched X-Men, there was this whole Age of X-Man storyline they did, and that 9 months or so was a lot of spinning wheels and kind of an attempt to just kind of move, kick things along until they're ready for a launch.
They released Uncanny X-Men Weekly for 10 issues or something, just so they could get to the event.
Yeah. And it wasn't good. Yeah. And that whole thing was a gigantic mess. And I think that's a little bit of what we feel now.
Certainly with Spider-Man. Woo.
Yeah, Spider-Man's got to say. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I think the Nick Spencer departure is happening earlier than people expected, but I do think Marvel will jump on it and make the most out of October and whoever the new creative team is. So there's a bunch of I've said this before. I think we've talked about this on your channel before. I think it's going to be really sloppy between now and October. Of just things are gonna look like people are spinning wheels. Creative teams are going to get pulled at the last minute. We're seeing a lot of art changes kind of after order, and so I think it's going to be very ugly.
But co-writers come in, help out.
Yeah, so I think you can kind of read the tea leaves a little bit about who's going to do what based on kind of where they're bringing co-writers, where they're trying to get some time made back up for creators and everything else. It'll be an interesting spectacle. I'm not sure whether it'll be a good one or not, but it will be a spectacle.
From what I saw in the comments section, you would make all my viewers' day if you suggested that perhaps Chip Zdarsky or Donny Cates will be writing the new Spider-Man.
I'm sure it's not going to be Donny Cates.
What?
But
Stegman's available.
Yeah.
He's a cover artist now.
Again, who knows? I think the Nick Spencer thing caught people by surprise. I've heard a couple names floating around from Ed Brisson and Ben Percy on that book.
I would be down for both.
We'll see. Everybody would love for Zdarsky, and Zdarsky, I think, does. I do think there's a feeling within Marvel, and I've heard from people in Marvel who've expressed not frustration is the wrong word, but just they do view Zdarsky as a top talent. They do view him as bringing kind of critically acclaimed views, and perhaps they're wasting him, air quotes, wasting him on Daredevil, a book that's just tougher to sell, and so should Zdarsky be on something more high profile where they can kind of take more advantage of what he can do.
He's kicking ass and taking names on Batman Urban Legends.
He is. He's putting out solid work right now. So, I mean, if you're Marvel and you're trying to figure out the best way, because it is, they'll put a lot of things in play in October for this Penguin Random House deal, but they really have to then sustain it for a couple of years. It can't just be 3 months and done. So if I was kind of running editorial right now, I would be trying to put in solid, reliable, good writers. I'd try and find a good rotation of art teams. I'd be trying to get ahead on a lot of these books, so I could do 6 issues minimum of a single artist without swapping them out. So, and then maybe have a rotation of 2 on the book if you need to, or find some artists that draw faster. I would be calling up Brett Booth and just asking him how much money he wants. Guy draws
Bagley, obviously Mark he's Bagley. Been there.
Yes, and I would just try and create the mandate would be let's have 12 1 year 12 issues of consistency of the writer and the art team and some strong stories, and just try and get people feeling certain about these books. That's what I would do at this current moment in time, and I hope that's what they're doing.
So we've talked very nice about Marvel so far. There's a potential that they could be making a mistake here. Penguin Random House has never, in the company's existence, as far as I know, distributed comic books. Do we really want to distributing more comics than Marvel's done probably in the last 5 years in the first month?
Yeah, I think that it's there's certainly the possibility it tips over. That's a Penguin Random House is a mature organization, and I do think that I mean the biggest challenge that they're going to have is kind of are the comic stores are the people operating them able to kind of sign on and do things. I think that may take Penguin Random House a little bit by surprise with shop owners that are just not maybe technically savvy and hopefully they've got a call center ready, but I don't think it falls over there. I do think that this is why Marvel's pushing to get everything done. They've got to make a big splash. If they go into this thing and it looks too disjointed, too weak, too strange, they're going to become a much lower priority for Penguin Random House. Yeah, and that's going to be very bad for them.
But if they come in guns blazing, kicking ass and taking names, this could open up a lot of new opportunities for other publishers to come on board, get better distribution, and it could definitely help out retailers, which I'm certain is what you're really worried about, also with the customers. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I'm worried about that, and I want to see what I would love to see come out of this deal, because Penguin Random House is so good at it, is and it's why I would have these comic runs be consistent. Make sure you've got a really nice, reliable, predictable pattern for how these comics are going to come out in floppy, then put into trade, then put out into omnibus. It should feel like almost a.
I thought Marvel was still doing their trades in omnibus through another company because Penguin was doing theirs through DC or something.
They do. They have. I think they still have, but they're moving some to Penguin Random House. But the key is, regardless of who's shipping it, for Marvel and for retailers and everyone else, it would just be nice to have very reliable consistency. The books are going to come out, then the 6th issue comes out, and then there's a 1 month delay, and then the trade comes out, or whatever. They should determine the timing, but just it's always works that way. And after 18 issues, a collected trade come out, and then after 25 issues, an omnibus comes out, or whatever. Just make it very, very predictable what you're doing, and then get those non-floppy books into Walmart and Target and Barnes and Noble and everywhere you possibly can. Increase your distribution, which is really what they should lean on Penguin Random House to do, and start getting collectors who are not into comics or kids. Start fighting back. You go into Target right now, there's a small shelf right there with manga that they're selling. Actual, like, you could pick up One Piece, you can pick up My Hero Academia books, and that's where Marvel's content should be. They need not floppies, but they need trades there, sitting there to compete.
It's crazy. I remember coming out of the pandemic, DC had changed from exclusive to Diamond to Lunar. UCS had been on board, Diamond initially, and then Diamond went away. And it felt like they came out guns blazing. We had Batman 3 Jokers. We had Joker War. We had all this great stuff coming for DC. And it feels like they did not sustain that momentum.
They didn't. Yeah, I think that's right. I think this is where will Marvel do the same. Yeah. They came out strong. They came out fighting. They came out with a bunch of really big ideas, and they didn't know what to do after month 3. And I think there's a decent amount of infighting. I think there's still a decent amount of infighting from what I hear. And it's, you get people with different priorities wanting to push and pull in different directions, and things slowly grind to a halt. And now you hear stories about, who was the artist who said that he hadn't heard from DC in 6 months and finally just left. And you get, writers saying we're not being told what the other teams are doing. And that's where you blow it all up. And Marvel's definitely
they never even officially informed Peter J. Tomasi he was off Detective Comics.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that lack of communication, that lack of basic coordination plagues comics. And Marvel has absolutely had the same problems, tons of those same problems. Editors who are far more concerned about doing whatever they're doing on social media rather than actual communicating with their teams. That's the stuff that's going to kill your momentum. So hopefully they fix that.
I'm making a prediction. I think this last quarter from Marvel, I might not love all of it, but I think there's going to be so much cool stuff out there. People are going to be excited. They're going to be back in their comic shops. Hopefully things are even more back to normal. We don't have any setbacks along the way. And I think maybe we won't get back to sales 10 years ago, but I think this could be, the most exciting time in comics as far as just new stuff coming out that has people really, really enthused to go to their comic shop, in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, get some buzz. I would love it.
I'm on board. You sold me, Perch.
I want to be amazed. I want to be amazed. I want this stuff to be good for sure. I think I don't know. I sold you, but it's. I'm open.
We talk behind the scenes, Perch.
That's true. No, I do want it to do well. They're going to make it'll be a wonderful spectacle at the very least. It will be interesting to see how big, because they are going to go big. And it's all going to be in who the teams are. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, over the next 45 days, we're going to learn a lot of the relaunch teams for, say, Captain America, the ongoing Ms. Marvel, as you mentioned. We've already heard about Hulk and Venom. So I mean, Hulk and Venom got some good praise for the teams that are going on those books. Tom Taylor coming and doing this big kind of disaster apocalypse event is going to be liked by comics fans. So can you have that same kind of momentum carry into now the next 5 or 6 announcements? The new Spider-Man creative team, all these, that's what you need.
All right, I got one last question. What's the status of Punisher versus Barracuda? That's the other one I was really excited for that I haven't heard about for over a year.
I still hear it's coming out.
It's going to be good.
I believe that will come out in the October to December timeframe. Yeah,
it's going to be tight, and hopefully New Warriors as well. I really want to review that comic.
Sure. I still everybody says I'm crazy. I still believe that book's absolutely coming out.
Yeah, it's got to. They already paid for it.
Sure.
That's like one of the highest viewed Marvel Comics trailers in the history.
Well, yeah, I mean, for all the wrong reasons, but yeah.
Publicity's publicity, baby.
Yeah. The
all right, Perch.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on here talking about, we got Dark Ages coming up. Marvel is absolutely loading up the last quarter of the year. Definitely it's going to flow into 2022. Do you have any final words to say about Marvel's upcoming schedule and the state of the industry?
Just pull it off, man. Pull it off. Make it good.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.